Moi everyone and welcome to Finish Your Plate. Ice creams of course are a popular dessert in Finland, especially in the summertime. So I'm going to be making a couple of ice creams, one of which has a distinct Finnish flavor, but the other one is definitely something you cannot get outside of Finland. So let's start with the first one, which is a blueberry cardamom ice cream. So what I have here is 2 cups of blueberries. These are frozen. You could certainly use fresh ones too. So I'm just going to pour them in here. And also I'm going to pour in just a little bit of hot water. About a 1/4 cup. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. And of course the cardamom. I'm going to be putting in about a scant teaspoon of cardamom, of course with my Moomin spoon. Now we're just going to be cooking this a little while until the blueberries turn to syrup, and after that we are just going to use the stick blender and blend it smooth. Okay. The blueberries have been cooking for a little bit. Let me just taste sugar here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this with my ice cream base. Remember, the ice cream base already has sugar in it, so this blueberry base does not need to be terribly sweet. It is a little bit sweet, but it does not need to be overly sweet. Okay, so this is pretty much all that needs to be done here. I'm just going to transfer these blueberries into another container and then stick blend it to make it smooth. While the blueberries are cooling down a little, so this way they don't burn you when you blend them, I'm going to start the second sauce, which is going to be, it's going to be a salty licorice sauce that I'm going to mix with vanilla ice cream. So I'm going to be using a cup of sugar together with a cup of water. I'm also going to put in just a 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid to help this sugar to become syrup. If you see my salty licorice vodka, this is pretty much the same thing that I do in that video. Okay, now that it's boiling, I'm just going to let it boil for like 5 minutes. Now at this point, I'm just going to flavor this. I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of ammonium chloride. Ammonium chloride you can just order online. It's easily available. But make sure you order the food grade ammonium chloride, not the laboratory grade one. And now I'm going to also add licorice root powder. Now, some people are sensitive to licorice root powder. It can also affect your blood pressure. So you could certainly omit it. It gives the sauce kind of earthy, kind of a taste that licorice has. But if you don't want to use it, that's fine. About a 1/4 tablespoon of licorice root powder. So at this stage, this is kind of like licorice tea almost. For color, I'm going to be using activated charcoal. You don't need a lot. I'm going to use maybe a 1/4 teaspoon. Too much, and it's going to give it a little bit of a gritty mouthfeel. It's not going to taste bad, but it just gives it a little bit weird mouthfeel. It's all right. There we go. It's potent stuff, so a little goes a long way. The last flavoring that I'm going to add is anise extract, because Finnish salty licorice has very strong anise flavoring. However, I'm not going to add it yet because my syrup is still boiling hot. So what's going to happen if I add this, it's going to boil off and not leave any flavoring. So what I'm going to do is, at this stage, I'm going to thicken this. Here I have a slurry made with cornstarch. So it's just cornstarch and water. I'm just going to pour this in until I get the desired consistency, which is going to be pretty thick. If you wanted to make salty licorice ice cream instead of vanilla ice cream with salty licorice sauce, you could skip this step and just make a syrup and then mix that with your ice cream instead. But since I wanted to make a salty licorice ripple in the ice cream, I'm going to thicken this. So that's going to prevent the sauce from mixing with the ice cream. There we go. Here we go. Now we're going to let this cool down a little bit before adding the anise flavor. And now my blueberry mixture has cooled down a little bit, so I'm just going to blend it. Just remember, blueberry stains, so make sure not to spill any. Here we go. Now that my sauce has cooled down a little bit, I'm going to be adding the anise. Any of you Finns, if you know what kvilla is, this smells like kvilla. Just going to add a half a tablespoon first. Remember, it's easier to add than to subtract. And if your sauce is too thick, you can just add water to it. Let's taste it. Make sure it's as salty as you like it. It has that saltiness, but also the anise flavor that you are looking for in Finnish salty licorice. So now I'm just going to let these cool down. And then I'm going to mix them with my ice cream. While the sauces are in the fridge cooling down, I'm just going to take some plain vanilla ice cream. So then when the ice cream melts to kind of like soft serve consistency, I'm going to scoop it into these two containers and then mix the sauces with the ice cream. So now that the ice cream has melted into much more pliable state, just going to start mixing the blueberry in. Use as much or as little blueberry sauce as you want. Just make sure it's evenly mixed, so you don't have any pockets of plain ice cream left. Now we'll do the same for the salty licorice, but since this one's thicker, the goal is not to incorporate the sauce into the ice cream, but more so make ripples in the ice cream, like so. There we go. So with this one too, we are just going to put it back in the freezer. Now all that needs to be done is scooping the ice cream. And then we'll add a couple of blueberries as garnish. And with the salmiakki ice cream, we're just going to add just a touch of the sauce. And here we go. Two definitely Finnish ice creams, a blueberry cardamom one and a salmiakki ice cream. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on Finish Your Plate.